Hi Hammers fans! Quick reminder, drop a like, hit subscribe, and leave your comment below. That way you'll always be the first to catch every update about West Ham United. West Ham is going through days of great turbulence both on and off the pitch. What initially seemed like just a poor run of results quickly turned into a broader scenario of questioning, ranging from the technical command to the club's ownership structure and external investors. One of the most discussed points behind the scenes is the influence of Daniel Kretinsky. He owns approximately 27% of West Ham's shares, and although not the majority shareholder, his stake is significant enough to guarantee an active voice in strategic decisions. Recent reports suggest he has been receiving lists of potential names to replace Graham Potter, whose continuity in the role is already heavily contested. The degree of Kretinsky's influence is still up for debate, but there is no denying that his position in the club grows stronger every week. At the same time, rumors surrounding the Gold family's shares have intensified. There is an expectation that part of those shares may be sold, which has attracted the attention of different groups interested in investing in English football. The movement gained further momentum when it emerged that shareholder Trip Smith, who holds around 8% of the club's shares, was in London for strategic meetings. Smith has a solid track record in the financial market, accustomed to forming consortiums, managing funds, and negotiating major deals. His presence in the UK at the same time Kretinsky was also there can hardly be seen as a coincidence. According to sources, investors were taken to visit Rush Green, the club's training center, a clear sign that negotiations are underway. The detail is striking because it comes amid a context of strong institutional wear. In recent months, West Ham has been the target of organized fan protests, accusing the board of lacking transparency and planning. There were even threats of boycotts at matches, further pressuring the club's leadership. The English press has also played an important role in this process. Renowned journalists, once seen as defenders of the management, began to echo criticisms similar to those voiced by supporters. This shift in media stance amplifies the weight of the pressure, creating an environment of constant scrutiny. The favorable discourse toward the board gave way to analyses questioning the running of the club, both administratively and sportingly. On the technical side, the situation is no calmer. Graham Potter, who arrived surrounded by expectations, has not managed to turn West Ham into a consistently competitive side. The irregular results combined with an unconvincing style of play have made his tenure uncertain. In this context, several names have emerged as possible replacements, but the list is far from inspiring. Among the candidates, Nuno Espirito Santo appears as the favorite. His Premier League experience counts in his favor, but part of the fan base sees the choice as a short-term solution with little prospect of progress. The bigger question that emerges is why can't West Ham, a consolidated and financially stable club in the English top flight, attract higher-profile managers? This exposes a structural issue not just of the club, but of the market itself. In recent years, the average tenure of a Premier League manager has dropped to approximately 18 months. This means clubs are increasingly unwilling to invest in long-term projects. The case of David Moyes, who had a relatively long spell in charge of West Ham, is treated as an exception. Modern football demands immediate results, and the patience of fans, directors, and investors has become increasingly scarce. This reality makes the pursuit of a project manager almost illusory. Even when young and promising names emerge, they rarely withstand the natural wear of a few poor seasons. For West Ham, this creates a dilemma: opt for someone who provides short-term stability or risk investing in a profile that might not withstand the pressure if results don't come quickly. Meanwhile, the off-field scenario intertwines with the sporting question. The arrival of new investors could represent both an opportunity and a threat. On the one hand, financial backing could strengthen the squad and modernize the club's structure. On the other, the constant turnover of shareholders raises doubts about management stability. Supporters fear West Ham could become just another asset in the portfolios of large investors, losing part of its identity and tradition. Another issue under debate is the impact new sponsors and commercial deals may have. There is speculation that international financial companies are interested in taking over the main sponsorship slot. This would mark a significant shift compared to previous years when betting companies dominated this space. Such a profile change, if confirmed, could be seen as a sign of professionalism and a quest for greater credibility in the global market. But despite all these moves, the big question remains: what direction will West Ham take? On the one hand, there is the possibility of new investments and a refreshed technical command. On the other, fan pressure, inconsistent results, and distrust of the board create an environment of uncertainty. The club's immediate future seems to depend on decisions that need to be made in a short time frame. The meeting of major shareholders in London, growing popular dissatisfaction and on-pitch fragility form a picture in which any move could prove decisive. If the directors opt for bold changes, perhaps West Ham can turn the crisis into a turning point. However, if hesitation prevails, the risk is prolonging instability and compromising even the next season. What makes this moment particularly critical is the convergence of so many forces at once. Rarely has West Ham found itself with boardroom turmoil, a fan uprising, managerial instability, and financial doubts all colliding in the same period. In a league as demanding as the Premier League, where rivals are evolving year after year, stagnation can be lethal. Supporters are increasingly vocal that standing still is equivalent to moving backwards and patience is wearing thin. More than ever, the club needs to find balance between tradition and modernity, between passion and reason, between the immediate pressure for results and the construction of a solid project. Supporters used to highs and lows hope this turbulent moment will serve as a catalyst for real change rather than mere stopgap measures. After all, West Ham cannot afford to waste time in such a fiercely competitive football landscape. For many fans, this is not just about results, but about identity. The club's soul, once linked to working-class pride, community, and resilience, feels compromised when decisions are perceived as being driven solely by profit margins or short-term fixes. The Olympic Stadium, which was supposed to symbolize a step into a brighter future, has instead become a lightning rod for criticism. Complaints about atmosphere distance from the pitch and the commercialized experience have left many feeling that the heart of West Ham was traded for promises that remain unfulfilled. At the same time, the Premier League environment has never been more unforgiving. With clubs like Manchester City, Newcastle, and even Aston Villa benefiting from ambitious owners, the bar for success keeps rising. For West Ham to merely stand still is to risk being overtaken not only by the traditional giants, but by a new wave of competitors who are reinventing themselves through savvy investment and visionary leadership. The comparison is painful while others climb, West Ham struggles to keep its footing. There is also the question of whether the club has missed its window of opportunity. The triumph in the Europa Conference League provided a historic moment and a platform that could have been leveraged to propel West Ham to a new level. Instead, many argue that complacency set in, and rather than building momentum, the club drifted back into old habits of cautious spending, short-term decision-making, and lack of transparency. For fans, this is the ultimate frustration. Not that the club lacks potential, but that potential is squandered. And then comes the looming possibility of a new era driven by external investment. The whispers of Qatari involvement, whether through Qatar sports investments or linked individuals, are more than just idle gossip. They represent a genuine chance for West Ham to be redefined on the global stage. But such opportunities come with a ticking clock. Investors rarely wait forever, and dithering could mean losing out to other clubs ready to embrace the future. For Sullivan and the current ownership, the dilemma is stark. Continue clinging to control, risking further alienation and decline, or step aside and allow West Ham to seize a transformative opportunity. The decision is not merely financial, but symbolic, a test of whether the board values pride over progress. What seems undeniable is that time is running out. Fans have reached a breaking point, the media has shifted tone, and rivals are accelerating away. West Ham is standing at a crossroads, and whichever path is chosen in the coming months will shape not only the next season, but potentially the next decade. On top of all this, there are rumors that the PSG owners are interested in investing heavily in West Ham. But before we get into that, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support keeps the Claret and Blue family united and helps make West Ham stronger every single day. I'll talk more about that in the next video. That's it for today's West Ham update. If you liked the video, drop a like, share it with your fellow Hammers, and make sure you're subscribed so you never miss the latest news. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. Come on, you Irons.